Dugout. We're back from Europe. We're back to work, Steve, and welcome back. Joining us this week from 97.3 The Fan, Braden Surprenant. And thank you, Braden, for joining us. Steve, a big weekend of football. We have the Elite Championship, and we got a photo bomb. Top Dog joining us in the background. We're going to get his comments. He can't leave now. If you're going to do that, Chris, you got to sit down. Steve, take over. Take over already. I quit.
All right. Hey, Moni, I see Brady there has a 97.3 The Fan sign there. You know what, Brady? Of course, Saturday night from Southwestern College, we're going to be doing Helix from East County playing Carlsbad for the Open Division Championship, which, of course, is pretty much a county championship. If I could, let's go back to last Friday a little bit, because with a couple minutes left of the game, even though you're being photobombed, we were being bombed from the standpoint that we didn't even know who was going to be in the championship game. I mean, Cathedral and Carlsbad went down the last second. Saints and Helix went down the last second. Helix and Carlsbad, of course, won. But talk a little bit about how that was last Friday, because it's just very interesting how it went down the last second in both games.
Yeah, last Friday was crazy, and I was, Steve, as you know, we were at the Carlsbad Cathedral game. Chris was actually at the Helix Saints game, so I'll let him talk about that game. But both of the Open Division playoff games were coming down to the wire and were the craziest games that I've ever seen and then heard about in terms of the Saints and Helix game. In terms of the Carlsbad game, it was back and forth in terms of, kind of big play after big play. Carlsbad really utilized the screen pass a lot. They tried to get Cole Wright activated. Deshaun Swafford was on him all night, did a really good job covering Cole Wright. So, Carlsbad did what they had to do, and they had to, develop ways to get Cole Wright the football, and a screen pass was the most devastating for them. They were able to get some big plays. They went up 21-14. Cathedral Catholic got the ball back at their own 20 with 5 minutes to go. They drive down the field to about the 20-yard line. They turn over the ball on downs with 2 minutes left. They still had 3 timeouts left. And you're thinking, well, if they call a couple timeouts here, they might be able to get the ball back with about 45 seconds. And we'll see what, Charlie Meyer can do, the sophomore quarterback, making his second ever start, for the injured DJ Ralph. One play happens for Carlsbad. They don't get any yards on the run. They run the second play. They actually get the most yardage they ever got on a run play in the entire game. It was a 7-yard carry by DJ Young. And you're thinking, all right, 3rd and 2. Carlsbad picks this up. They're going to the Open Division Championship game. Cathedral looking for a stop, and they fumble. Carlsbad fumbles the ball. Cathedral picks it up at the 20-yard line going in. First play for Cathedral after the fumble. False start. It's now 1st and 15. It's a bad start for the Dons. Then they get an incomplete pass on 3rd and 15. They hit Coleman Smith for a touchdown to make it 21-20. And then this is where, if you didn't think it was crazy enough, this is where it gets a little crazier. And before that, I just got to, remind people about the Open Division playoff game between Carlsbad and Cathedral in 2015. That game, Carlsbad is running out the clock to win the football game, and they fumbled just like they did this season, and Cathedral picked it up, and then 2 plays later they scored 24-21. So you're thinking, when I was doing that game, I even said it. I know I was thinking it. I'm sure there was a lot of Carlsbad people thinking about, oh man, was this going to happen again? We fumbled late when we're trying to burn the clock. Cathedral's going to get us. Well, Cathedral, they decided to run a fake point after attempt to try to win the game. They saw the writing on the wall. Look, our offense hasn't played that great. We got a sophomore in at quarterback, hasn't made a lot of starts. We get our running back next week. Maybe we can sneak out of here with a win. Let's run a fake. The problem was the kid that just caught the touchdown pass is the holder, and it was not relayed to him quick enough about the fake. Him, as well as another player that was a big impact in the fake play, didn't even know they were running a fake. It was loud there. They didn't have time. They didn't have any more timeouts, so you couldn't call a timeout in that situation. Kind of a cluster, some poor management. You run the play. Coleman Smith sitting there holding the football, and nobody's there to kick it because they're trying to run the fake. And it doesn't work out, and Carlsbad goes on to win. After the game, knowing what the play was in place and watching on film, we'd be talking about Cathedral Catholic right now being the Open Division Championship if they had everybody on their team knowing about the fake that they were supposed to run. So kind of uncharacteristic. But this Cathedral team was not the same Cathedral team we watched beat Centennial. I mean, think about this. We talked about on our podcast. Cathedral Catholic beat Centennial for Centennial's only second loss of the year. They only had 2 losses all season. Last week against Serra in the playoffs, they beat Serra 52-0. I mean, and Cathedral beat this team, and now they're not in the Open Division Championship. Kind of a downward spiral for Cathedral throughout the year. Lost some key pieces, couldn't play up to the same par they had against Centennial, but they got 8 guys coming back on defense. They got a lot of young playmakers coming back, so I'm excited to see Cathedral next year. But Carlsbad, they got a good offense, man. They got a pretty good defense. They inherited the ball twice in their own territory on quick changes and were able to keep the Dons off the board. You have to talk about how great Carlsbad's defense did. Cole Wright, the story of the game, he was our SDCC Holiday Bowl player of the game as well. So I'm excited to see Carlsbad play. But I know you guys are more interested in that Helix Saints game that I know Chris was able to talk about.
Yeah, Chris, what happened in that game? Because I believe Helix was down until the end. What went on there?
Well, I'll make it quick. I won't go into as much detail as Braden here.
Full report, man.
Long story
That's
short.
what happened, yeah.
Well, there was only 19 points compared to 41.
Yeah.
I predicted, and as a lot of us in the media did, we predicted a very high-scoring game. We were very surprised going into the fourth quarter that neither team had found the end zone. I know that early in the game, Helix squandered 3 opportunities in the red zone to get in there. We find ourselves 7-0 going into the late in the fourth quarter. And the biggest surprise the entire night, everybody in the stadium was expecting the Saints to run the ball with 2 minutes left. He puts the ball in the air, and lo and behold, Sam Stewart picks it off and takes it for pick 6. That changed the entire momentum, changed the entire game, not to mention a block punt in the end zone. Helix sneaks away with the win. Very sloppy play, very untraditional win for Helix. They'll take it, but they can't make the same mistakes against Carlsbad, or they will lose.
No, and that's why I wanted to ask Braden, because Braden, you saw Helix earlier in the year. We saw Carlsbad last Friday. What is going to determine this Helix Carlsbad game? Because I've been impressed by Carlsbad. We've seen them twice. We saw them blow Torrey Pines out. We saw them beat Cathedral. And I think, Helix is going to have a tough time. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to stop Cole Wright, who had 8 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. But what are the keys for Helix if they are to beat Carlsbad?
Well, they got a really good running back in Washington that some of the county knows about. I know Chris has known about him for a long time, and we got to see him against Cathedral in a supporting role, if you will, to Elion Noah. But I like him. I think Cameron Brown needs to have a pretty good football game, and I think he just needs to make a handful of throws to win this game for Helix. Helix has a really good defense, just like Carlsbad does. I like Helix's athletes against Carlsbad's athletes. And to me, Helix is the favorite in this game. Obviously, they're the 1 seed, and they're 10-1. I've been a lot more impressed with Helix throughout this entire season. But I agree with you, Steve. I think it's going to be a close game, to be honest with you. I think it's really going to be close. Coach Thad McNeil does a really good job of making adjustments and finding ways to get his playmakers the ball, and I think he's going to do that. And I think Robbie Owens is going to do that as well with the Helix team. I'm really looking forward to see how these 2 teams match up. It'd be really interesting to see if Helix can become the team with the most Open Division championships. With Cathedral losing last week, we go another season where you don't get back-to-back champs. I find that incredibly hard to believe with a lot of the teams that we have in San Diego. But think about the transparency and the how equal everybody is here in San Diego, where you can get your best playoff and not have repeat champions. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's been a long time since the Avocado League has won a championship here in San Diego. And we talk about them. They got a very deep league. I know they talk about being the best league. I know Chris and I are biased to the Western League, and you guys are biased to the Grossmont League. But if the Avocado League wants to make a statement, they got to win 2 games on Friday night in the Division I semifinals. And then they got to win the Open Division final. And then all of a sudden they can start talking about how great the Avocado League is. But for me, I picked Helix #1 to start the season. I was the only one on record with the Union Tribune rankings to pick that. I thought they were the team to beat coming in this year. And I'm going to roll with the Scotties going into those games because they've been there before. They've played in championship games in recent history. They got guys like Delshawn Traylor that are incredible football players and he's an incredible young man as well. I like to see Helix to do it. I think the senior class of the Highlanders gets it done and wins an Open Division championship.
Interesting you say that, Braden, because what's ironic, I think Helix may have, even though it's not against St. Augustine, still a little bit of a revenge factor. The irony is last year Helix lost in the Division One championship game to the Saints 21-20, just like Cathedral lost to Carlsbad last Friday. Same thing. Helix went for two. It didn't work. Do you think there may be that factor for Helix too, the fact that they got that close last year, and here we are again, and we're even in a bigger game. We're in the Open Championship as opposed to Division One.
I think for sure they're definitely spent the entire offseason thinking about that. I mean, I would as a player. That's the ultimate goal. And when you're at Helix, man, you're there to win championships. That's what you do. That's what the program's built to do. Just making it to the Division One. Look, they didn't make the Open, so they're a little upset. But look, they still want to win a championship. At the end of the day, they didn't get the job done in their eyes, and I know they want to win Open Division championships, but it doesn't end there. I mean, I know they want to win a state championship each and every year, just like Cathedral does, just like St. Augustine, just like a lot of the top teams here in San Diego. So I know that's a big factor. I'm sure Chris can elaborate a little bit more on that as well.
Yeah,
back to the previous question, I just want to add one more thing. The key matchup for this game for me is going to be Keontae Scott on Cole Wright. I think Keontae is one of the most underrated defensive backs in all of San Diego County. Add in the fact that you put Delshawn Trendler over the top, and I think they arguably have one of the best lockdown secondaries in San Diego. I don't think that Cole will be able to get the separation against the Helix guys that he did against Carlsbad. I think that secondary is a little bit better, a little bit more experienced over Helix. With that said, I do expect Washington to run free in that game. The kid's going to probably have over another 150-yard rushing game.
Let me add this, though. I can't say much, but progress reports came out this week. So don't be surprised if Helix is depleted on their offensive side this week. So maybe I can get some more information before the end of the week comes. Hopefully everything's cool and everyone's going to be playing on Saturday night. But just something to add right now. I can't go into much more.
Hey, Ramon, have you heard anything about Cameron's little brother, Jaden Brown? Have you heard anything about Brown?
All I know is that great play he had.
Yeah.
Now, going back to this Saturday night, Braden, you saw, of course, the game last Friday. You called the Carlsbad Cathedral game for 97.3 FM. One thing I was really impressed about Carlsbad, I know because you've been around the Cathedral program for years. You played there. You've been around it for years. Cathedral's always been so physical, and they were this year. But I thought Carlsbad really impressed me with how physical they were, too. Did you see it that way?
I thought their defense did a really good job being physical and closing down some holes against an offensive line that is arguably the best in the county. And I saw that both ways. I thought, honestly, both defenses for Cathedral and Carlsbad did a tremendous job and brought the physicality, throughout the game. I mean, Carlsbad could not run the ball at all. They couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, it was a run in a line of scrimmage, run into a brick wall. And the same really can be said about Cathedral. Aside from that opening drive, they had an 18-play opening drive. And aside from that opening drive, I mean, they really couldn't run the ball either. And when they had holes, you know what? Carlsbad did a good job sealing it up before Xavier could get his legs going and ripping off a big run. Sure, the Cathedral have some decent runs. Yeah, I mean, they're a wing T team. They're gonna be able to run the football, especially with the running backs that they have. But I thought Carlsbad did a really good job with physicality. Look, we talked about both offensive lines, right? You got Harrison for Carlsbad. You got Berzins and Brosnan for Cathedral. Two offensive lines that were going to come in and dominate. And to be quite honest with you, I thought both defensive lines for Cathedral and Carlsbad probably outplayed the offensive lines for Carlsbad and Cathedral on both sides of the ball. So I think both teams were very physical, but I thought it was I was more impressed by both defensive lines in that game than both offensive lines, which going into the game, like we said, was going to be the story of the game, the two top offensive lines in San Diego.
Any player not named Tyler Buckner hotter than Cole Wright right now in the county coming into this game, Chris?
I can think of one.
I got one in my head. I think Chris has the same one.
Well, I just
go with Madison running back Keontae Springs.
That's what I was going to
do. 5 touchdowns last week and a game-winning interception to win the game. That kid is on fire.
I got Keontae Springs too. That was the first name that popped in my head. He's doing a tremendous job for Madison and a tremendous career, and watching him play is truly exciting and something.
Yeah, it's interesting too in Division One where you have a ninth seed Oceanside traveling to play number 4 Madison on Friday, and we have 3 Mission Hills going to 2 Lincoln. I mean that Madison Oceanside game. I'm not sure a whole lot of people predicted that those two would be in the semis. Maybe Madison, of course, they beat Grossmont last week, but Oceanside. I mean they've come out of nowhere, and also El Camino in Division Two. So it's kind of been a good playoff run so far for the 2 teams from Oceanside.
Yeah, it has been a good run, and you got to give Chris Smith credit. He went on paper and said in our podcast last week that Oceanside was going to beat Steel Canyon. And he's gloating in front of the East County boys right now, and I don't know about that so much. But Kavika, too, had a really good game, and the game went down to overtime. It was a hard-fought battle between the two. I'm curious to see how Oceanside does against Madison. I think that's going to be a really good football game.
Chris, Tua going to be on your short list for players that can win Player of the Year next year for sure. He was really held down by the Cougars in the first half, and then the Pirates exploded behind Tua in the second half.
Absolutely. Hey, Kavika, to me, Kavika is an old school football player. The thing I like most about the kid is his humility. Not only is he a great football player, but he's a humble human being. Earlier this year, he scored a touchdown, and it was a senior night, and he looked at the senior and said, "You know what? It's senior. This may be your last game." He gave the microphone to him and let him do the interview. That's a classy young man. He represents Oceanside very well. He's a junior Seattle type throwback player. He's going to give you everything he's got. He's going to go 110 miles an hour. He's the first guy. Love that kid.
Hey, one other team we need to talk about too. I mean, we only have 2 teams from East County left. Santana in Division 4. You know, they're at home Friday night. I know they're playing at El Cap, but Santana's 1 win away from getting the finals, 2 wins away from getting a football championship. And I mean, I know Santana went through a run there where it hasn't been so good in football, but it's been amazing how well the Sultans have played this year. And here's hoping they get 2 more wins, even though they were my rival in high school when I was at El Capitan.
Hey, rival in high school is now taking over, invading the El Cap Stadium on Friday night. I don't know how you feel about that.
Let's make it, instead of the black and gold, we'll make it purple and gold this week.
Yeah, exactly. I spent some time, with the Santana program. My dad was there with, Coach Jerry Ralph back in the DJ Bush days. And then, of course, Santana, they were playing in the CIF championship before I played in the CIF championship back in 2011. They played Valley Center, came up a little bit short. I know Jason Patterson was a big player on that team. He's a guy that, works out at Fitness Quest 10 now. He's a trainer there. So I talked to him about Santana football. He's all fired up about the Sultans right now. We got a guy here at the station, Nick Finn, who's a Santana alum, and he's proudly wearing his Santana gear. He's fired up. You got some fired up alumni about the Santana Sultans, and what can you say? I mean, they've done a tremendous job. Coach Estes has done a great job this season. He had that one miss up against Monte Vista this year, but I think this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. I think it's one of the more intriguing matchups this week. You got Kel Patterson of Orange Glen rolling in there. His dad's the head football coach for the Patriots. They went to a state championship last year. They won CIF a season ago, so they have a little bit of experience going into this game. Santana, not so much experience, but they got a really good, quarterback, and Ethan Bishop, if I'm not mistaken, I think is their quarterback.
Nathan Temple.
Nathan Temple, that's right, Nathan Temple. He's done a tremendous job. We've been able to talk to him before, and they got a lot of good players over there. They're running a good offense. They're scoring a lot of points, and I think this is going to be a fun one. I'm sure the people of Lakeside will settle their differences, go to eastbound, and have a good time before they head out to a nice football game on Friday night.
Hey, let me tell you a little history. I mean, it's like Santana's the home team of the Cap. Has that happened before? Yes, because when Santana first opened, they did not have a football field back in the mid to late 60s. Santana's home stadium was El Capitan. And every other year, El Capitan, we'd have to go sit on the visiting side to let Santana be the home team in our stadium. So, yeah, we'll let the purple and gold take over where the black and gold normally is. I mean, because, again, historically, Santana has been at home before at El Cap, and I hope they feel right at home Friday night, get a big win against Orange Glen. It's going to be a tough game, but I think the Sultans will come out on top.
Yeah, Chris, I think that Santana as a whole might have a little more talent throughout their roster, but I think Orange Glen's got the most talented player on the field, huh?
I don't know. Hey, listen, for my take, pound for pound, one of the best quarterbacks in San Diego. The kid's incredibly impressive. I think Nathan Temple, he's going to do bombs over Baghdad all night long and tear apart that secondary. I don't think Santana's going to have any problem picking out Orange Glen this weekend.
We hope you're right. even from an El Cap guy.
I like to hear that. So let's talk about those, promote those games for me, if you will, Braden. Certainly you guys are going to have the game on Saturday night, but you also have a game on 97.3 The Fan on Friday night as well. So please take the time and let us know how we can hear. I got in the car last week. I went to the Scripps Ranch game. They did a great job. You know what, hats off to West Hills out here. They went down on that great defense that's allowing less than 7 points a game, drove right down the field in like 10 plays or so, used a couple of option passes, stunned Scripps Ranch, got right into the end zone. Of course, Scripps Ranch coming off the bye. They said maybe they needed a little wake-up call, and from that point, really, Scripps Ranch dominated West Hills, a team that doesn't turn over the football, really. That's kind of why they've gotten into the position that they have with discipline, holding onto the ball, long drives. Well, Scripps Ranch forced 2 turnovers on the next 2 possessions, converted them into touchdowns, ends up being 42-7. Maybe it would have been 28-7 if West Hills plays their normal game. Maybe they can get another score. I tell you what, I was really impressed by Scripps Ranch, and you guys hopefully going to go see them first on Friday before that other game on Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to go see. We're going to stay in my neighborhood. We're going to go down to Scripps Ranch and see the Falcons take on Central, the Spartans. I think it's going to be an interesting football game. We're excited to do it here at 97 through the Fan. Of course, we got some connections there with Tony Gwynn Jr. Working out in the area and knowing one of their assistant coaches, Todd Durkin. Tony Gwynn's been gung-ho for Scripps Ranch, getting us out there, so we finally get to go out there for a game. And they've had a really good season. I mean, they've had the best season that they have ever had at Scripps Ranch High School. I can't remember the last time they were playing in a semifinal playoff game to try to get to the finals, in San Diego. And what a great job head coach Marlon Gardenera has done in turning that football program around, getting the help from Todd Durkin and strength and conditioning, getting a lot of good players. At Luke Durkin, their quarterback, Nicholas Gardenera is doing a really good job at running back. They got Boma. He's playing in the tuba. He's playing tuba in the band last year, and now he's one of the best defensive linemen in San Diego. Truly remarkable. You got McGivney that plays tight end. You got Grant Norberg that plays tight end. I mean, they got 2 tight ends. Battaglia. Battaglia is my cousin. I'm going to get there in a second. I got to get to Battaglia. His mom, Trish, is going to be upset with me if I don't throw Connor Battaglia's name out there. But again, they got 2 tight ends in Norberg and McGivney that are honestly, if they're at any other Division III school, they're playing tackle. And now they're athletic enough to play tight end. They're very big Scripps Ranch football players. And Scripps Ranch is a really big team this year that they haven't had in years past. And what a great job turning the program around. I know they want to win a CIF championship. I think they're going to do really well on Friday. I don't think they're going to be that contested with Central. But at this point, I think they're playing house money because they have had the best season ever. And I'd like to see this thing ride as long as it can. I know I'm going to get a lot of love from the local Starbucks and the local gym. Maybe let them know that we're giving them some love and going out to the game. We're excited for it. I know they're excited for it. It's going to be a fun time on Friday night. Again, Saturday, we got the Open Division Championship game between Helix and Carlsbad. And then the following week, we're going to have the 2 Division I and Division II championship games that will play at Southwestern College. I'm still fighting to get the Division III and Division IV game potentially on the stream. We're going to talk to my program director. We'll see what I can do personally, but for sure, definitely Division I and Division II of next week as well.
And those others, if you get them, will be on the stream possibly, though, Braden?
Potentially on the radio.com stream. It might just be me setting up equipment and just doing it myself, but I want to get as much high school football out there for you fans as possible, especially for Division III and Division IV. Try to spread as much love as we can.
Hey, Brady, can I just add one thing real quick? You were mentioned at Scripps Ranch, Todd Durkin, who works for the team. Just so people know, how good is this guy? Who does he train? Well, I know one of the people that Todd Durkin trains is a guy named Drew Brees. I know
That's
that
right.
he trains.
He owns I'll give a shameless plug to Fitness Quest 10, where I've been working out my entire life. It's local in Scripps Ranch. Todd Durkin, he used to work for the San Diego Chargers back in the day. Then he opened up his own gym, and he trained LaDainian Tomlinson. He trained Drew Brees. You go into his gym, and they got so many different jerseys hanging up. Aaron Rodgers used to train there. Current guys, Darren Sproles trains there. His wife trains there. Tony Gwynn Jr., Steven Strasburg. A lot of the local San Diego baseball players. Melvin Gordon was training there. Golden Tate trains there. I mean, I could just keep going on and on. Mark Sanchez was training there for a long time. You got Luis Perez, the guy that's playing in the AAF, and he's trying to make a name for himself coming from South Bay. He trains there. He does a really good job and gets the kids ready. But he's done a tremendous job with getting the kids motivated at Scripps High School as assistant coach and basically the strength and conditioning coach, if you will. He's fun. He's got a ton of energy, and you'll see him on Friday night. I know he'll probably make an appearance on the Gwen and Chris show. He'll probably photobomb that and jump on that, probably worse than Chris did tonight. But he'll get in there. He'll get fired up. You listen, when you guys are all driving your games, anybody listening to Gwen and Chris, they do a full preview of high school football on a Friday night. They broadcast live from the school that we go to and do. You got to tune in on Friday because I know they're going to have Todd Durkin on as well as Scripps Ranch's head coach Marlon Gardnera. I'm sure they'll have Central's coach on as well. But he's going to have you going through a brick wall ready for a Friday night football game, and it's he's fun to watch. I'm ready to see him in action on a football field. I already get to see him in the gym when he's yelling at me to do some more sets on bench press or what have you. But I'm excited to see him on the football field.
So are we, Braden. And hey, Braden, want to thank you and Chris so much from 97.3 The Fan taking time with us tonight. We know you guys have had a busy schedule and know we've got a lot on our plates here again with the games Friday and Saturday night, 7 o'clock. And next week, at least 2 games, maybe 4. So, again, keep up the great work there, 97.3 The Fan, because I know one thing, if I could, I know from talking to the people at the station there that high school football has really created a buzz for 97.3 The Fan. Keep up the good work. Keep up the great work there. You and Chris and everybody, Coach Quintera down the line. Thanks so much.
Oh, absolutely. Chris and I have a blast on the podcast. You can listen to it.
Yeah, you guys got some great programming this week, Braden. You guys probably just put something down, right?
Yeah, we just put it up. We recap. We did a full in-depth look at the Open Division playoffs, last week's games. We talked about every single game that happened last week, the things that caught Chris's eye, the things I like jabbing Chris for and get under his skin a lot for some stuff. We go back and forth, but it's all good fun because we always have a good time. I know Chris always gets phone calls from coaches talking about our podcast. We have a good time, just like you guys do. We enjoy being on your guys' show as well.
I got some content to listen to tonight.
Yeah. Well,
at the end of the day, we're all about high school football, of course. Our podcast, Coach John Quintera does a really good job on the high school show on Thursdays. We do the games. Thanks again to Jerry Sneep and Labita and everybody at CIF for putting high school football back on the air with us. Rich Herrera was the main guy in trying to get it back on the air here at 97 through the Fan.
Thank you, Rich.
Staple in San Diego. Yeah. So thanks again to everybody involved, and we're looking forward to hopefully doing this for many more years to come.
And I have a special thank you. I have a special thank you to you, Ramon. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last 2 years with the Prep Pigskin Report. I always enjoy your coverage. When Paul Rudy talked about having you come on board, I was very excited about having you on board with the Prep Pigskin Report. And I thank you so much for all the passion, dedication, and leadership and everything us become so successful.
Hey, good thing Steve's cutting us off at 30 minutes because I was about to bombard you with questions about the award show, who you got for coach, who you got for player, who's your offensive, who's your
got my cell phone number. You call me.
It's coming. Hey, one last thing I want to just say to Braden. You mentioned Rich Herrera who put this thing together. I know Rich got in touch with me one day and said, "Hey, could you do stats for Braden, for Coach Quintera?" For me personally, as you know, I do the Padres for Fox Sports San Diego and a lot of college basketball, college football, etc. But doing the high school games with you and Coach Quintera has really been a blessing, really been something I've enjoyed, and look forward to it for hopefully many years to come.
Oh, thank you very much. And we couldn't do it without you, Steve, or Dave Marcus, or Brian Cohen back in the studio. Everybody does a great job. And the best part is everybody that's there doing the work loves being there on a Friday night and wouldn't be anywhere else on a Friday night than on a high school football field calling a game to share with everybody here in San Diego how important high school football is and how fun it is and what it means to the city of San Diego.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much to everybody. Been a great show. Ramon, Chris, Braden, thank you all for being with us, and look forward to games this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. If I had more time, I'd keep you around. Christopher Smith, Top Dog, joining us. Braden Surprenant, both 97.3 The Fan, and check out their podcast. That's going to be up. It might already be up. I'm going to go find it right now. Listen to all their.
Put that up. I'm going to go post that.
Oh, you better do that. Recaps and previews by the end of the night, let's just say. And, of course, in plenty of time. Tomorrow's only Wednesday, and we got a couple of days before. And, Steve, great job. Maybe we'll see you out there. You know, maybe some contingency plan. Maybe things will work out. Maybe that Santana game will be the one that we're going to hear against Orange Lynn. I didn't even get to make my prediction, so make sure you tune back in here at eastcountysports.com and hear who I think is going to win those big games this weekend. Thanks a lot, guys. Awesome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you for joining us.